This is a poem for the weak, a poem for the meek, a poem for the Hindu, Christian, Muslim, Buddhist and the Sikh, a poem for the roadman on the corner selling beak, a poem for some heat for the cold and homeless living on the street. Look, I'm spitting poems for the vulnerable, spitting poems for the freaks, the bullied and the ostracised who feel worthless, obsolete. This is a poem for the geeks, a poem for their weeks, who studied out and sacrificed every day, stuck on repeat. Every day stuck on repeat. This is a poem for the vegans, veggies, peskies and the eaters of the meat. A poem for the police, finding carved up youth upon the beat. A poem for the deceased who sleep in everlasting peace. This is a poem for the oarsman, a poem for the fleet. A poem for the lone wolves, a poem for the sheep. A poem for those ones always chosen last. I promise you're last, not least. A poem for the beauty, but most of all a poem for us beasts. A poem for the jigsaw puzzled ones, still searching for that missing inner piece. A poem for the sick ones. This is a poem to fight disease. We all need a poem for the thank yous, but where's the poems for the please? A poem for the babies, a poem for the teens, a poem for the elderly whose wisdom we seldom seek. This is a poem for our teeth, a poem for our knees, but to stand your ground and feel proud, a soul poem for our feet. This is a poem against defeat, a poem to help us beat that little voice inside our heads that tells us to retreat, a poem to brighten up how bleak you feel if you don't walk the path of the elite. This is a poem for the normal, a poem for the G, a poem for the LBQ. This poem was written to a T. This is a poem for all the world's women. I stand in solidarity. This was written down for every single goddamn ethnicity. This is a poem for the soldier, fighting to fit back in society. A battle waged in nerves and brain each day, the PT, the S, the D. This is a poem for belief, a poem hopefully, a poem for the bitter times, the sour and the sweet, a poem for the lockdown and all those workers who were key. Let's open our hearts on this rotating lump of matter, no matter where you're from geographically. This is a poem for the human spirit and our humanity. This poem was written down for all of you as a little gift to you from me.